Good afternoon, evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to get underway here shortly. We'll wait for probably another, I would say, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll kick things off. So thanks for joining us. Just quickly do a sound check to make sure the volume's okay and you can hear me nice and loud and clearly. And we'll be, as I said, we'll be underway in about 2 or 3 minutes. So looking forward to another session. Guys, we're going to get underway, so thanks for joining us. And what I want to do tonight is take you basically through the steps of developing and managing your trading systems. So we're basically going to go through the whole process of developing up a strategy, looking at the specific markets we want to trade, and then fine-tuning our system to get the overall high performance strategy that we want. So and some of the obviously some of the issues that we face when we go through the process. So what I want to do is walk you through one of the GMT documents that we're going to be releasing, and this is our developing and managing your trading systems. Now the idea behind the idea behind this presentation is that every one of our traders in the Pro Trader program is putting together what we call a high performance system. So we know that if you develop up and do some testing and developing up a strategy, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done in relation to maintaining that system or strategy. Now, when I talk about systems, I'm talking about a strategy or a system that is 100% objective. It has its basically has an entry, exit, and methodology that is coded or programmed into a charting package. So for example, for GMT, it's either multi-charts or TradeStation or MT4. It could be any, but basically if you're looking at a system, it could potentially be any charting package, but the key there is that it's 100% objective, and that's really one of the points that I want to hit home tonight or today, is that really to maintain our edge in the market. And you'll see when we start looking at our data and our stats that if we start to have that discretionary type trading, then really we don't have a consistent base of analysis that we can draw from. It starts to become too random. So for stage one in the initial system development is basically identifying our market. Now, for those of you who are doing the Pro Trader program, you know you've been through module 7. Module 7 is all about picking a market out that you are comfortable with, that you've got something that is familiar to you, and something that you're comfortable with, potentially trading. So ideally, it's usually a market that you've traded before, or you've had experience with before, or you have a general interest in, because obviously we want to make sure that we're trading markets that we're generally interested in. Now, what you do there is you go through your market analysis, and you're trying to find out and determine what are all the key components of that market. So, for example, the market opening hours. Is it a PID session? Is it a Globex 24-hour market? Does the market close at certain times of the day? For the exchange, who controls the market? So who are the main market makers? Are there all of these things that you're looking at as far as the market you're trading are really helping you to gather information and intelligence in when you actually go in and start trading live. So the idea is that the last thing we want to do is go into a market and be underprepared. So we definitely want to build a framework from which we can go into a market with a position of strength. So those little things that you identify, things like volume, liquidity, seasonality, those small things that you start to accumulate as far as knowledge help you to structure up your system. Because I know if, for example, I'm looking to trade one of the currency pairs, and I know typically the currency pair has no activity during the morning session or the Asian session. It's typically a currency pair that trades fairly extensively in the late European or US session. Then it's really a waste of my time to sit there and try and trade that market during the Asian session. So I really need to know that. I need to know what the daily range is. So when I go into the market, I'm actually going in and looking at times that are going to be profitable for me and the strategy I'm looking at. So once you have identified the market you're looking to trade, what we typically do is we use a 30-minute chart. So I've said this before in the room, always good to look at a 30-minute chart because it allows you then to break down the days and look at where potentially the moves are occurring. For example, if you're looking at a chart, you can really block out and look at where the ranges are for that particular day. And if you start to look at 2 or 3 months of data, you can see a pattern develop even just looking at a 30-minute chart of where the larger moves are. Because if you're trading, say for example, the trend trader or the breakout or any number of those strategies that require a movement, now remembering that we need range in our systems typically, unless you're scalping. So if you're going to go into the market and you're looking to basically make money in the market, you really need to have a system that has reasonable range, or a market that has reasonable range. In your system, for example, say it's running with a 20-point stop, you're going to want to have a 3-to-1 typically on your market movement for you to get the strategy away and profitable in the market you're trading. So that range wants to be 3 times your average stop. So when you look at your 30-minute chart, you can quickly see, all right, well, if I'm looking at a 24-hour period, I'm looking at a 12-hour period, where is the range occurring? Where on a daily basis is all the activity occurring? Now, if you look at markets like crude, crude can be volatile for the entire session, for the 24 hours that it trades. Whereas other markets like soybeans and that they'll be fairly tight, and then they'll explode after about 9 o'clock. So you definitely want to spend some time identifying what times to test, because, and I spoke to Nick about this today and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, trying to determine what time to test is something we can also do with our automation, and I'll show you a little bit of a tip on that later. When you go in and look at your strategy and you've got your final settings, you can actually start to test your market based on the time. So it's really a fairly extensive test that runs the time analysis. But once you're comfortable with your settings as far as your average stop, your target and things like that, if you've got your basic settings, then you can definitely sweep the market to find the optimal time to trade, and as I said, I'll show you that shortly. So once you've got your profitable settings, so you've got something that you're comfortable with, say for example you've tested up 9 to 10 o'clock on, say for example, the DAX, you're comfortable with those settings, then the next step really for you is to basically take those settings and look at how you can potentially improve that. So what we do in the program is we look at, all right, well, I've got my basic settings, so I've tested that over a 6-month period and they've come out there, they look okay, they're profitable, but how can I get better results than what I've got at the moment? I've tested a period of time, I haven't really excluded anything there, I haven't got any major filters. So there are a number of things we can do automatically that will help us to improve our overall profitable performance. And they're things like, for example, they are things like bank holidays. You'd be wanting to see how your strategy performs around bank holidays, non-farm payrolls. You might be looking at your strategy after a public holiday or before a public holiday, because typically, as you know, in the US, particularly if you're trading one of the indexes like the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, if there's a public holiday on the Monday, then there's not really going to be a lot of activity going on a Friday afternoon, I would imagine. So it's always good to test those things up to see, right, well, okay, what happens on those days? When Bernanke speaks, you definitely want to be looking at those days and what happens pre those meetings, because what you'll find there is that there's generally just that anticipation of what's going to happen next. So it's always good to test those days up. You might want to you might want to look at generally key levels before and after, and we've spoken about this in the Pro Trader program. What we generally do is once we've got our system, we can go through then quickly and look at our key levels and find out where is there a way in which we can improve our overall net profit. So key levels before and after, and typically within a range of around about 10 points, and historic key levels as well, particularly on the currencies. Then you can also look at you could potentially look at floor trader pivots. Now I know on the DAX there's some of you who have done a fair bit of testing on floor trader pivots, and they are definitely very, very they impact to a great extent on the DAX. Not so much all markets, and this is something that you need to test up when you're doing your trading and you're doing your analysis of that first 6-month period. You are definitely going to want to test up these filters, and it's very easy. Once you've got your basic data and you've run your strategy performance report, it's easy to then apply that testing and look at these particular filters and overlay those. So what I'm going to do now is just going to take you through basically the next step. So once you've had a look at certain things that potentially may be impacting on your strategy, or may be able to implement it in your strategy to offer an additional filter, then the next step is to run the system live in simulation and a forward test. So really you've basically got yourself what we call a pilot system. When you've got this pilot system and you're happy with it, and you've gone through the process of adding your filters, and there might also be an indicator that you apply to the general system that like a higher time frame filter that takes eliminates some of these trades, that allows you to improve your overall results. And at the end of the day, what we're looking for is, we're not necessarily looking for an increase in overall percentage win rate. We're really interested, and you'll see as we talk about this more, we're really interested in looking at our average trade net profit. That's really the key. And the higher that average trade net profit, and I know I'll talk about this a fair bit, but the higher that average trade net profit, the better the results we're going to have generally. So guys, can everybody, I haven't checked this, but can everybody see my screen? Excellent. Okay, great. So what I want to do now is basically just as I said, it's critically important to test your system in real time. And the other thing we want to do here with our real time testing is make sure that, and this is something we probably haven't covered a lot in the past, but we need to make sure, is that our system performance as far as spread and fills is accurate. Now I know Charles and a few others are doing some cross testing at the moment, or testing they're basically testing two platforms to see the comparison between the fills, and it's a really good idea. Like if you think about it, if you're looking to really build a very robust system and business, you're going to want to see exactly, for a little bit of extra time and effort, you're going to really want to see how well each platform performs, particularly if you're trading the Forex, and that can make a huge difference as you start to increase your contracts, you start to apply your money management, you start to build your contracts up, and that slippage or spread can have a huge impact on your overall net profit. So once we have our system and we're comfortable with it operating in real time, we can see that it's performing as it should do, then we basically have our pilot system, don't we? And our next step, once we have our pilot system, is really to identify, right, well, we've got our pilot system, what is going to be our circuit breaker on our system? Because every system typically will have a circuit breaker, or some point at which you'll turn the system off. So no matter really what happens, we always need to make sure that we have a point at which we turn our system off if it starts to underperform. And I'm going to talk about taking your pilot system and turning it into a high performance system in a minute. So we're going to talk about the profitable settings and then turning that into the absolute best settings. But the first thing I want to cover is this circuit breaker. Now, some people, some traders don't always look at or don't always apply a circuit breaker. And I'll just ask a quick question in the room: how many traders in the room at the moment are running their system with a specific circuit breaker, a point at which they turn off their system? Or is it something that you've got in your trading plan, or is it something that you are potentially looking to kind of add to your trading plan but you haven't quite worked it out? Or so just a quick yes, no, and what is it? So do you run a circuit breaker, yes or no, and what type of circuit breaker are you running? And I'll explain what I mean by a circuit breaker. The circuit breaker that I'm talking about is the point at which you turn the system off. So that could be potentially the R multiple, which we've obviously we've done in the Pro Trader course. It could be a percentage risk model. It could be a percentage drawdown on the account. So what is your typical what's your strategy for turning your system off? How do you what type of rule based process are you going through to confirm that your system's off? Is it the R multiple? As I said, percentage risk. I just want to get a feel for the traders who are in the room of what kind of model you're using. So I'll give you probably about just a quick 20 seconds to answer that question if you can, so I can get a feel, and then I'll just push on. Okay, great, fantastic. So we've got a few R multiples, we've got some percentage risk, and a few that R multiple. Excellent, Dave, thank you very much. Nick, well done, excellent. Okay guys, so for those of you who haven't put anything in there, you are obviously getting a cup of coffee, or you're not running a circuit breaker. So or you haven't got to that part of the program yet. Anyway, we'll push on. So what I want to discuss is the fact that we have a pilot system, and these are the three phases that we can look at. Now, once we've got our pilot system, which is basically our system with our currently our best settings, we can then go into what I call three phases of looking at your system. So you've got level one, which is your pilot system. Once your pilot system, you need to run this continually to track your system's performance. So whether you're running TradeStation, MultiCharts, Ninja, MT4, your system you really need to run your system as you've tested it up. So basically run your system, and that becomes your pilot system, and you track that constantly. So that's always being tracked. Now, what we can do is we can say, right, well, and that's what we call level one of our system development. So we can then say, right, well, let's have a look at level two, which is the days of the week analysis. So often the pilot system can be improved by analysing specific days of the week to identify which of these days are underperforming. So you'll find that there are sometimes some really interesting stats as far as your overall system performance, and that you'll find sometimes there are some gold nuggets that can be found by just weeding out those bad days of the week. Now, we've got level 3, which you can go to, which is basically then drilling down and looking at your longs versus your shorts. So, right, well, I've had a look at level 1. I've basically got a high performance system, or a system that's performing well. Level 2 is really my days of the week analysis. So of the days of the week, I'm tracking which one is underperforming. And level 3, I'm going to really look at the days of the week, but I'm going to have a look at the long short on the days of the week. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through that process. So what typically happens with most traders is they traditionally trade their pilot system, and then when it gets into a drawdown, they turn it off. They don't really do, well, some traders don't do a lot of digging underneath level 2 and 3 to find out what's actually happening with their system. So what we do within GMT, and what we're doing now is basically our typical circuit breaker runs on what we call an R circuit breaker. So if you can imagine that your average losing trade your average risk on your trade is $140, then what we would do is we would say, right, well, so what we're saying is that a 1R or a negative 1R, which is one losing trade, so one full stop out from your entry point, is going to cost us $140 on this pilot system. So and that's basically our initial stop. So if I have a negative 6R result on my system, so that means I have 6 full losing trades as a cumulative value. So you might have 3 winners, a loser, 5 losers, a couple of winners, and eventually you get to a point where you're down from your equity high of basically $840, which is 6 times 140, so you've got 840. That becomes what we call our R line, or our circuit breaker. So you might hit your equity high, and that might be up around 5,700, and then suddenly you drop 6 times your risk in your system. So over a course of a week, a month, 3 months, and eventually that system gets turned off because you've hit what we call our circuit breaker. So that's one way of tracking or using a method to apply to your strategy. Now, most systems are basically looking at this level 1 analysis. So they've got the basic system, they're running the system, it might be a certain time of the day, or it might be over a 24-hour period, or whatever the period is that you run the system, and then there'll be a percentage drawdown, you'll turn the system off. So what we typically do is we use the R circuit breaker. So once we hit that drawdown, we turn it off. However, if we look at this system, instead of just turning the system off when it drops $840 and it's trading every single day of the week, what we can do is we can say, right, well, let's have a little bit of a look at level 2 of our system and see what the distribution of profit is, because we've actually made $570 worth of profit as far as our equity high. So what we want to do is we want to go into the system and we want to have a bit of a look at where all the money's being made. So if we look at our system, and I apologise if that's small, but can everybody see that clearly? Just quickly check to make sure everyone can see that little diagram there. It's a bit small, so my apologies, but I'll talk through it anyway. On Monday, we've made, over this entire system, on Mondays we've made $2,000. On Tuesday we've made $700, so Tuesday obviously is not the most profitable day of the week. On a Wednesday we're running at $3,000, so Wednesday's good. Thursday we've made $2,000. On Friday we're down $2,000. So if we look at our level 2 analysis, what day of those 5 days is dragging our system down and could potentially be responsible for a good chunk of that drawdown that we've had that's caused us to turn our system off? Can anybody tell me what day is really responsible for if someone said to you, look, this is your system results broken down into days of the week. Great that you're tracking your system as a pilot system, but here's the performance on the days of the week. Which day is, it's basically Friday. Friday's the underperformer. So so we could potentially turn Friday off as a trading day because it's not performing well. And then we go down, and so based on our case study, level 2 analysis, eliminating Friday from our strategy, we suddenly take our equity to 7,700. So if we knew based on some previous data that Friday was going to be a poor performing day, we've basically increased our profit by $2,000, haven't we? So our system's gone from a pilot system of making 5,700 to now having an equity of 7,700. So can we improve these numbers anymore? Can we actually look at this system and actually take it to the next level and really improve it to a higher level? So what I've done here is I've said, right, well, this is how our system is currently trading. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So all the days are on except the system's been turned off on a Friday. So we've basically said, right, let's turn that off on a Friday. Then we go in here and we say, right, the next step in our process is to look at breaking down the longs and shorts for each day to see if there's some improvement that can be made there. So this is really taking level 2 analysis and taking it to the next level, which is level 3. So this is getting really down and dirty into the system. So if we look at level 2 on a Monday, there was $2,000 worth of profit, so we were pretty happy to trade a Monday. But if we break the longs and shorts down, we see that the longs made 2,900, the shorts made negative 900. So what was our? Can anybody remember what our circuit breaker was for the short side? Does anyone remember what our circuit breaker was for the short side? Oh, not for the short side, for the system. Anybody remember what our R multiple was? What value? Yeah, negative 840, 6R, beautiful. So we've got some people who are definitely on the ball at the moment. So does it not then stand to reason that we should be turning the shorts off on the shorts on the? So I'll start again. Does it not make sense that we should definitely be turning the shorts off because we're down negative 900? Our circuit breaker on the entire system is 840. So really, if we turn the shorts off on a Monday, then we would have captured $2,900, so another $900 worth of profit there. So based on that theory, then it definitely looks as though it will be a worthwhile exercise to look at each day of the week and see exactly how the days of the week are performing. So that's our next step. So we don't just look at Monday, we're going to look at every single day. So we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, well, what's happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? So if we look at that and we see, right, well, Monday longs 2,900, shorts negative 900. So you can see there, if just at a very, very quick glance, just let me know what you're seeing that is very, very obvious as far as performance. There is definitely a way in which we can look at this system and say, right, well, on Monday, we should really only be trading the longs. On Tuesday, we should only be trading the longs because we've got $2,000 profit on the long side, negative 1,300 on the short side. That's our R multiple, our circuit breaker. Got to turn that off. On Wednesday, we've basically said, right, well, our longs are 1,200, our shorts are 700, so longs again Wednesday. So we've got longs, longs, longs. On Thursday, the short side has made $3,000. So we definitely want to trade the short side on Thursday and get rid of the longs on Friday. And Friday, you're 100% right there, Brett. Friday is a no trade day, negative $2,000. So we definitely need to drop Fridays. So if we then say, right, well, look, we were actually happy just doing our level 2 analysis. We said, right, well, we could actually make an extra $2,000 on this system by doing level 2 analysis and trading basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, dropping Friday off because it was negative 2,000. But now that we've looked at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday longs and shorts, we can really set up a high performance strategy here by turning different systems on and off, or turning different longs and shorts on and off. So if we break this down into a table format, we can see that Monday's definitely systems on the long side, off on the short side. Tuesday, as I said, on the long side. Wednesday on the long side. Thursday, Friday, longs are off. So basically by doing that and just adding Thursday shorts as well, we have a total net profit of 9,100. So we've actually managed to improve our overall system performance and take it up to 9.1, and that's what we talk about, having basically a high performance strategy. That's really allowing us then to say, we're applying our system circuit breaker because every single we objectively assessed every single day of the week and the longs and shorts, and they all breached our R circuit breaker. So that's really what we want. And really, it stands to reason that if you do this level of analysis, it's going to take a little bit of time, and it does take more effort, but it's definitely worth the effort and the commitment to do that, because look how much money you're improving on your strategy by doing that exercise. And really, to me, by not doing that exercise, it's either that you lack the knowledge and knew that you didn't know about the impact that could have, or you just basically, some of us get lazy, or we just miss things, or we get busy. But really, when you're trading as a professional trader, it's your job to manage your systems. So your job is to be all over these systems, know exactly where the money's being made. And really, if you get a system that is underperforming, then this analysis needs to be done down to this level. And if you still can't see the system is making money at this level, then obviously it just gets turned off. But just running a system and assuming that it's if it has a bit of a drawdown that it's not making any money, then that's really an assumption that can be very costly, as we've seen here with the 9,100. So that's really just a very quick breakdown here of longs, long, shorts, off. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's our high performance system. So if we've got our high performance system here, then what we need to do we still need to track, so this is our high performance system. Do we still need to track our pilot system? Because if you can imagine, if you go into TradeStation Multicharts MT4 and you turn your strategy off that's tracking everything, and you've only got it working on this high performance strategy, you're not really going to know how your pilot system is performing on, say, Friday, and you may miss potentially where Friday starts to make money. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to turn a day of the week off and not see that day, or miss that day starts to make a recovery and starts to be profitable. So when you're running your systems, you definitely want to track your high performance system. Obviously that's where the money's being made, but you also need to track your pilot system. So you need to be tracking all trades. You need to monitor your circuit breaker, because that information is then feeding back to you, and you can then analyze your trades to see where this system is making money and losing money. Now I'm just going to flick over to a spreadsheet now, and I'm just going to give you a look at something that we've been working on for a little while now, that does just that, tracks your system performance. So let me just bring that up now, and I'll just bring that into the room. Okay, here we go. So just let me know if everybody can see this spreadsheet here. Just let me know if you can see that nice and clear. Yep, all good. Fantastic. Alright, so basically this is our pilot system. So everybody's up to speed with our pilot system. We're all good there. We've got our R circuit breaker in there. So basically we've got our R circuit breaker, and that's where our system's going to turn off. And so you've got your blue line is your equity, your green line is your equity with an R break, so with a circuit breaker. Your maroon line there is an equity with a drawdown R break. So there's a couple of different R breaks that we've used there, and I'll go into more detail on the R breaks on another session, because there's a fair bit in those. So but let's just stick with the normal R break. We've spoken about the R circuit breaker, the one that we discussed earlier. So one of the most important things for us, obviously, with our system is to make sure that, alright, well, this particular one here is slightly different. This one's got an R circuit breaker of 475. Our other one had 140. So this one is a system that's running on the DAX, so it's a slightly more expensive market. But the information I'm going to go through here with you will explain and reinforce what we've done there. So you've got your overall, you've got your total net profit, your max equity high, your maximum drawdown. You've got your current drawdown, so you can see that current drawdown is very minimal. So overall, this system looks pretty good at first glance. It's had 123 winners, number of trades 368. It's the trend trader, so not unusually the trend trader runs at a fairly low win rate. But look, the average trade net profit, which is one thing that we really like to look at, is 82.50. Is that fantastic? Well, it's not spectacular, but it's not bad. It's you need to have that at least over $50. The higher the better. So this thing is running at a the average drawdown is 848, so that's fantastic. It's made $30,000, so that is a super result as far as the drawdown to net profit. That's fantastic, and as I mentioned before, you've got an average loser of 215, average winner of 676. So that's not bad at all. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you that at first glance that doesn't look too bad, and there were times when that system turned off, as you can see. That maroon line had that maroon line kicked in a couple of times and turned the system off. But let's have a look. If we analyse this system, it looks pretty good there. But if we go into the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the days of the week that we spoke about before, let's have a look at how good it is. So if we look at Mondays, Monday looks pretty good. Everyone's pretty happy with a Monday. Net profit of 12,000. You've got a current drawdown of 645, 37%, so in line with the overall pilot system, and 54 trades you've got. But the average trade net profit, let's hunt that out. 223. Who's happy with 223 for an average trade net profit on the system as far as the performance? I would certainly be pretty happy with that. That's a good result for a Monday. So overall, Monday looks pretty good. However, let's go across and have a look at Monday longs. So if we have a look at Monday longs, we can visually see Monday longs is still running well. It's running at 52%. Average trade net profit is a massive 331. So Monday longs are definitely on. So we're definitely tracking Monday longs. Monday shorts. Average trade net profit 154. You've got $5,000 worth of profit there. So current drawdown 631. So we're at the moment, if we're analysing this system, we've definitely got Mondays are on longs and short, because both of those days are running really well. So we're pretty happy with that, longs and shorts. Let's go down to Tuesday. So if we have a look at our Tuesday, and if we come down here to Tuesday longs, you can see that average trade net profit at $79, so around what the pilot system's performing at. The current drawdown's 656, so it hasn't hit our circuit breaker, and it's performing reasonably well, and it's got just under $3,000 worth of profit. So Tuesday looks pretty good on the. So guys, I'm going to get you to, what I'm going to do as far as this exercise is I want you to put together your high performance system. So in this exercise, I want you to tell me which days of the week you're trading and type that into the webinar box, and we'll just see how many people are trading and what days they're trading. So that's the exercise here. I should have mentioned that before we got into it. So you've seen Mondays, and I'll try not to influence you too much. Tuesdays, we've got an average trade net profit of $79 on the long side, and our drawdown is very minimal at 656. On Tuesday shorts, our trade net profit is 7,000. Our average trade net profit is 186. Percentage win rate's good at 42, so that's great. So both longs and shorts are looking good on the win rate and also the average trade net profit. Shorts have got a huge advantage there, and the current drawdown, as I said, is 6. What's the current drawdown? Current drawdown. Okay, so that's not in a current drawdown, so it's making new equity highs. Fantastic. All right, so we're looking pretty good there. So Wednesday, let's have a look at Wednesday. Wednesday longs. Current net profit of $436. Current drawdown of $705. We've had a little bit of a bounce there. Average trade net profit $14.54. Is that a concern? And then, so Wednesday's not looking fantastic, not looking great, but it is starting to make a little bit of a recovery. It's got back out of the black, out of the red, I should say. Now, if we have a look at the short side, we've got 785. You've got a current drawdown of $944. Average trade net profit of 20. Now remember what we said about the average trade net profit. definitely a concern if your average trade net profit is under 50. So okay, so we've got Wednesday longs and shorts. Let's have a look at Thursday, see if we've got any more joy here. Thursday, we take Thursday, and Thursday's average total net profit is 840. That's basically with the circuit breaker kicking in. Its current maximum drawdown is 3,658, huge, and average trade net profit 2271. So yeah, that's kind of struggling a little bit. But have a look at, that's Thursday longs. Have a look at Thursday shorts. That is absolutely flying. So Thursday shorts 6260. So we've got a really good short side there. So that's obviously where a lot of the money's coming on that day. Now on Friday, let's have a look at Friday. Average trade net profit on Friday is negative 3580. Equities negative 1539. Not a good day. So Friday longs not looking too good. And our Friday shorts, let's have a look at Friday shorts. So some good money being made on the short side. 1645. Average trade net profit is pretty good at 34.27 is not fantastic. It's the 50 really is getting where we want it. 50 is where we want it to be. So 34 is a little bit of a struggle, but it has bounced. Obviously, this massive drawdown here is responsible for a lot of that average trade net profit. So we would take into consideration that it is bounced from 1500 up to 2.5. So that is a very, very solid run up, and this potentially could be something that's turning around. Now, one thing we want to mention is that if you do see this where you're looking to get back in and start trading, there will be times on looking at your strategy that you'll think, well, this thing is starting to run. It's made $4,000, and maybe it's a system that I need to turn back on. It's made $4,000 from this lowest equity point, and I don't want to miss out on obviously this thing starting to really perform and do well. And with the DAX, for example, I've seen the DAX produce $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 worth of profit after a huge drawdown. So it's a type of market that can really turn around very quickly. So guys, let me just give you a minute just to put together your combinations of your strategy, and we'll just see what most people come out with. And I'm just doing mine as well. So I'll tell you what I've got, and if you want to share yours, that would be fantastic. So interesting that if you can just put what days of the week you're looking to trade, long, shorts. So if you type those away, that would be fantastic. If anyone's excellent, good stuff, Nick. So Wednesday, let's have a look at Wednesday all day. Yeah, that's pretty poor. So good job, Jason. Wednesday, have a look at Wednesday. You've got average trade net profit of 14 and 20. So Wednesday is definitely a write-off. So Wednesday's out. Monday both, Tuesday off. Yeah, Dave, good stuff. Fantastic. So good stuff, guys. That's excellent. Yeah, so Brett brings in a really good point here. Now, this is one thing that you're definitely going to want to look at as far as your trade numbers. You really want to see around 100 trades. Now, sometimes you won't have 100 trades. You'll get stuck at 30 or 40 or 50 or around that mark, and you might have 500 trades, but you might only have 40 odd trades on one of your days of the week. Now, do we make a decision based on 30, 40 trades? Look, if you've got a day like a Wednesday long and short, I would basically, to me, I would turn those days off, because they're just erratic trading. there's enough of a data sample over the 500 trades to show me where the strength is in the days. But what I would do is I would probably just turn those off and I would track those, because I'm really going to feel very comfortable when I get to 100 trades. That's a really good data set. But there will be times when you look at a system where you say, well, that's never made money that day, never. And Friday's a great example. You know, you've got 43 trades, hasn't made a cracker, and really it doesn't look like it's going to, you know, come to the party. So that would be one I'd turn off. But you're right, you definitely want to keep tracking the days, because you don't want to turn a day off and then, and this is what I talk about running your high performance system and your pilot system, you definitely don't want to turn a day off and then come back and realize, wow, you know, that thing's bounced and made $5,000. I forgot to be tracking the Friday. Now what I need to do is basically go back. I've just lost $4,000 worth of potential profit. But you can see that by turning certain days of the week off, and we're assuming that this data set is going to you know, potentially be consistent with its previous 500 trades. But you can never, you know what they say about it, assumptions. We need to make sure that we base our testing objectively and our trading objectively. So we always need to be monitoring these markets. So what I would have had was Monday long and short, Tuesday long and short, as many of you have got. I would have turned off Wednesday completely. Thursday I would have had off on the long side, shorts on, and Friday would have turned the longs off, and I actually would have traded Friday shorts just as a cautionary start. So I would have had it running, but I would have been really monitoring it, because I'm going to be very quick to turn this thing off if it drops below that, if it drops off and starts to really kind of underperform. So that's how I'm looking at this. Now guys, this spreadsheet is available for you to, now obviously it hasn't got the high performance section finished on it, but as a spreadsheet, it is a very valuable tool for quickly looking at your systems and getting a very nice breakdown of exactly what they're doing. Now we do have the system performance tracker. That's great to be tracking your systems visually quick, but at the end of the week you're going to want to put your data into something like this, because this really sets you up for a really good analysis of how your systems are running. So just as a starting point, or just as all you need to do with this spreadsheet is you need to click on, once you've got this spreadsheet, and I'll be up, you just clear your data, so click on clear data, and that will clear all of the data out of this spreadsheet. So your data is typically stored over here in this area here, so it's out of the way a little bit, which is great. So if you come back to the area that we're concerned about, which is basically these three columns, the pilot system, Mondays longs, Mondays shorts, and all the days of the week, all you're doing is you're clearing your data. Then when you've got your TradeStation, when you go into TradeStation, all you need to do is basically open your TradeStation charter, and I'll just bring up an example here and I'll show you what needs to be done. So all you do is you go into TradeStation to your pilot system, because we basically don't want to put our high performance system in here. So can everybody see my TradeStation chart? Everybody see that? Yep, cool. So you go File. All you do is it's so easy. You just run your performance report. So there's my performance report on crude. Then I save that. So I click on the Save button, and I'm going to basically call this. What am I calling it? Sorry, I'm going to call it Copy Trade List from. So I'm going to call it TradeStation _data.xls. That's all I'm calling it. So I call it TradeStation _data.xls, and I put that name into that spreadsheet. So I call it that, and basically I save it. And once I've done that, I just close that, and I go back into my data, and then all I do then is basically I copy from the I hit copy trade list from Dart XLF. All you need to do is have it on your desktop or your PC, and it will copy that. As long as you've got this open on the same PC, it'll automatically, it's got a macro running in it, it'll automatically copy the data over. It'll populate the data, it'll bring the data into the spreadsheet in this section here. So into this section here, it'll copy all the data in. And then remember, just from your pilot system though. And then all you do is you click on this button, extract days of the week, and then that will populate all the information into these tables that you need. So it's basically a three-step process. Very, very simple, very easy. So again, you save your Excel spreadsheet once you've got your performance report. You save it as TradeStation_data.xls, and then once you've got that saved, then you hit this button here, copy trade list from TradeStation, and then once you've done that, then you give it probably a couple of minutes, and then hit extract, and then it'll bring it all in. So that's it. But we need to remember that you don't want your high performance system coming in here. You want your pilot system, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be picking or setting up your high performance your high performance settings based on that process. So you'll decide which days of the week you're going to trade. Now guys, this is an interim thing that we're running at the moment. So this is the process we're going to use for the next couple of months until our website's built. But once the website is built, this system data will automatically go into the website, and you'll be able to log in and see this information for all the systems that we track. So you can see that obviously the next step is going to be fantastic, because you'll be able to log in and check all of the systems that we track. There's actually about 60 systems that we track. So this is one of them. This is one of the ones that Giovanni's put together for the DAX, and you can see this is flying. The one I had up on the screen a minute ago was the one that Nick, you've sent me. So that was on crude. Great strategy there. So guys, that's what I wanted to show you today. I wanted to basically, now I'm just going to drop this spreadsheet out for a second, and I'm going to go back to the document here, and I'm just going to make sure I've covered everything. Days of the week, yes. Pilot system, yeah, I've covered everything there. Okay, so guys, that's really what I wanted to do today. I wanted to take you through the process of managing and maintaining your system. And obviously you've got to we need to remember too that there will be times when we need to turn our systems back on, because you can see this system here running beautifully, got a nice equity curve. The great thing about this one, and I'm just going to talk quickly about this one too, average trade net profit $209, so there's plenty of fat in this one. If this thing starts to get a little bit of slippage, plenty of meat in that to basically see it continue to perform well. But what's interesting with the settings with this system that Nick sent through is that it's got a trade stop of -11. So what that means is that on the trailing strategy, which is basically our so if for example we get into a short here, which we would on this this setup here, for example, we break support. What it's doing is it's running a trailing stop 11 ticks above that level there, so at 97. So it's running. So what it seems to be doing is it seems to be giving it enough room, based on those results, to just stay out of the noise of that initial move. So it's a really good, an interesting one, because with the 55 tick, obviously it's a fairly fast chart. But if you give the system a little bit more room, as he's done there, and he's just done some analysis on the afternoon session, which is produced around about the same. Now that's 5 minutes of trading a day for. Let's have a look at it. 5 minutes a day. Now this is a session for $24,000. So that's over a 7-month period. for $24,000 for 5 minutes a day of trading, and it's trading every day. It's trading every day, but I'm pretty sure if we did some analysis on this, that there may be one or two of those days that are very poor, or even one. And I'm pretty sure from the conversation I had with Nick that if you go in and have a look at a Wednesday is a bit of a dog of a day on that system. So we would probably be able to go in here now quickly and say, right, well, we've done our pilot system, which you've done there, Nick. You've put together a really, really super system. So if we turn off all of the days of the week and just concentrate on seeing exactly, because we pretty much know that Wednesday on crude is a day that needs to be approached with caution, because it typically doesn't perform very well Wednesdays. So let's just have a look at how Wednesday runs if we turn all the days of the week off, except for that day. So remember, we had $24,000 on this system all days of the week. Now we've modified it, and we're going to see exactly how. So there's a snapshot of what it's done. 24,760, 8,000 on the long side, almost 9, 15 on the short side. So the shorts were flying. Let's have a look at how the days of the week pan out when we just take everything out bar the Wednesday. And this will be interesting, because this is basically what we're talking about. This is a perfect example of having a system put together and then basically going through and looking at each of the days. And it's taking a little bit of time to load up because I've got that spreadsheet open, which is running. There's one thing I will mention. If you're going to download the spreadsheet, be very patient, because it's a massive spreadsheet. It's got it's a fairly resource intensive. Too bad. The short side good, the long side terrible. So we would definitely keep the short side on Wednesday. We'd just probably get rid of the long side, because it looks as though the longs haven't made any money in 7 months. So what you're doing there is you've got obviously not a huge amount of trades, 11 trades, so it'd be one that we need to keep tracking. But for 10 trades running at 30%, but 2,600, that's a super result for the long side or short side. So just that analysis is always good to do, and just to be building your overall high performance system. So guys, that was it for today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking around and being part of the webinar. And that's going to wrap it up for me. So any questions before I go? I've recorded the session, so I'll be uploading that to the members site. So if you want to have a bit of a preview of that later, or you wanted to go over any of the information, feel free to. But I'll be uploading the spreadsheet tomorrow, so you can, and I'll just put together a little bit of a how to import the data, just as a separate addition to the spreadsheet, so it makes it a little bit easier. But as I said before, definitely your pilot data you want to include in that spreadsheet. So thank you everybody. Have a super rest of the day or evening, depending on where you are, and I look forward to catching you next week. Now, for those of you who did join me this morning for the webinar with Stan, I'm actually going to reschedule a session, hopefully Monday. We'll see how we go, but Monday, Tuesday, and we'll basically hopefully have Stan on board, and he'll be taking you through multi-charts. So yeah, thank you guys, and appreciate the feedback, and we'll catch you in the next session. Cheers.